she does. She uses her body.
I'm sick of watching Caitlin getting attacked. If the league doesn't step up and protect her, things are going to get ugly real fast.
She was already on the ground. The play was already over. And then it happened. A fist drove straight into her throat. No whistle, no call, nothing. And the woman who did it? She stepped over Caitlin Clark like she was furniture. What unfolded on the night of June 24th, 2026, was not just a controversial basketball play. It was a moment that cracked the WNBA wide open. Coaches, analysts, fans, NBA superstars, everyone had something to say.
What I love Caitlin to do is get up one time and then just slap the
And what the league did next. That's where things get even more complicated. Stick around because this story goes a lot deeper than one punch. And before we get into it, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now. We cover the biggest stories in basketball with no filter and no agenda. You do not want to miss what's coming. The Indiana Fever and the Phoenix Mercury had already been at each other's throats, figuratively, until that Wednesday for days. Their matchup on June 22nd, just 2 nights earlier, had descended into absolute mayhem. 6 technical fouls were handed out. 1 player was ejected. Caitlin Clark herself picked up her 5th technical of the season after tangling with Dewana Bonner in the 4th quarter. The Fever won that game 86-77, but tensions had not cooled. Not even close. So when the two teams met again on June 24th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, everyone knew the temperature would be high. What nobody expected was what happened in the 2nd quarter. With 6 minutes and 52 seconds left in the half, Clark drove toward the lane. She went down after contact with Mercury defender Lexi Held. Thomas and Bonner collapsed on top of her during a scramble for the loose ball. And then, right there on the floor with Clark unable to protect herself, Thomas drove her fist into Clark's throat. She stood up, she stepped over Clark, and she walked away. No foul was called. The officials standing on the baseline just feet away saw nothing or said nothing. The ball kept moving, and Caitlin Clark lay there on the hardwood floor of her home arena, holding her neck. The clip hit social media within minutes. And from that point forward, the basketball world lost its mind. Here is what the replay showed in slow motion, frame by frame. Thomas did not just brush Clark. She drove her knee into Clark's leg while Clark was already on the ground. Then she pressed her fist into Clark's throat. That is 2 separate points of contact with a player who is already helpless. And not a single official made a call. What makes this even harder to accept is where that official was standing, directly on the baseline. Right there. This was not an off-ball play happening on the other side of the court in the middle of chaos. This happened within feet of a referee who apparently saw none of it.
You're aware of what happened 2 nights ago? And that still happens?
What?
Absolutely unacceptable.
No, she didn't, dude.
Absolutely
You just
unacceptable.
cursed?
And the reckless closeout that they actually reviewed, and the foot still comes down on top of the defender's foot that wasn't upgraded? Absolutely disrespectful.
Fever head coach Stephanie White found out at halftime. And the fact that she was able to compose herself enough to actually coach the second half is honestly impressive, because when she got to the post-game podium, she did not hold back a single word. She told reporters she learned about the throat contact at halftime. She told them that her team was called for 11 fouls in the first half, while Phoenix had 2. She told them Phoenix made 24 free throw attempts in the second half. And then she said something that should have been the defining quote of the entire 2026 WNBA season. She said, "A fist in your throat. It's absurd. It's dangerous." And then she went even further. She mentioned a second play, a reckless closeout that officials reviewed on the monitor, where a Mercury player's foot still came down directly on top of a Fever defender's foot. The officials reviewed it. They watched it on screen, and they still did not upgrade the call. White's words, "How do you mess things up once more?" Even after taking the test again, they were still unsuccessful. 2 cheap shots, 2 missed calls, 1 generational player, 0 protection. When Stephen Curry speaks, the basketball world listens. And he did not stay quiet. The connection between Curry and Clark runs deeper than most casual fans realize. This past offseason, Clark worked directly with Brandon Payne, Curry's personal trainer, to sharpen her game, rebuild her body after an injury-riddled second season, and prepare for what she hoped would be a dominant 2026 campaign. Clark had been open about it. She said she admired Curry's game, loved studying his footwork and shot preparation. and was looking for innovative ways to push herself. That relationship took on new meaning back in January of 2026. During a Charlotte Hornets game, Curry was on the receiving end of some extremely physical defense, grabbing, holding, the kind of contact that would be called in almost any other situation. Clark saw the clip, went to social media, and posted a comment that read, "Steph should make 12 three-pointers every game. Please don't grab him." Basketball analyst Robin Lundberg read that comment exactly right. He said it almost felt like Clark was speaking about her own situation by addressing Curry's. She was in her own way, sending a message about what she goes through every single night. So when Curry watched the footage of Alyssa Thomas hitting Clark in the throat on June 24th, watched her stumble, go down, get struck, and get stepped over, he recognized something. He had lived it. He had been grabbed, shoved, and fouled in ways that went uncalled for years because defenses had no other way to slow him down. The parallel was unavoidable. He called it out publicly. His message was simple and direct. Enough is enough. When the best player in NBA history says the treatment of a WNBA star has gone too far, that is not just an opinion. That is a verdict from someone who has spent his entire career being the most targeted player on the floor. He knows exactly what it looks like when opponents stop playing basketball and start playing something else entirely. The reaction online was something else entirely. Within hours of the clip going viral, the conversation had exploded across every platform imaginable. X, Reddit, Instagram, YouTube, sports talk radio, podcasts, you name it.
With there's a lot of rhetoric behind her that she really has no control over, and I think that the way she handles that is just amazing. Like, I think when it comes to the game of basketball, like, she's probably top 5 most famous people that are playing right now, just in general. That includes our league as well.
One fan posted on X, "The refereeing is just out of control in the WNBA. If they're not careful, one of their superstars, and perhaps the best one, will get seriously hurt." Another called Thomas the dirtiest player in the WNBA and suggested she belonged in a combat sport, not on a basketball court. A third fan, someone who openly admitted they almost never watched WNBA games, wrote that they had tuned in for this matchup, and the first controversial thing they witnessed was a fist to the throat of the league's biggest star. Think about that for a second. That is a brand new viewer. Someone the WNBA desperately needs if it wants to grow beyond its current audience. And the first impression that person got was Caitlin Clark getting punched in the throat with no foul called. That is not a good look. That is the kind of moment that turns casual viewers away permanently. Former WNBA player and analyst Stacey Dales said something that cut right to the heart of it. She pointed out the obvious. Thomas and the Mercury got exactly what they wanted. Clark was out of the game. They achieved their goal, and they did it without a single referee intervening. Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool Sports, called it a cheap and brutal shot. Robin Lundberg of Sports Illustrated went directly to the WNBA league office with a demand. Thomas needed to be suspended immediately for what he described as a deliberate dirty play. John Root of Outkick was equally direct. These are not fringe voices. These were mainstream sports media figures, each of them saying the same thing from different corners of the sports world. The basketball community was not divided on this one. They were unified. To understand why this moment landed so hard, you need to understand who Alyssa Thomas is and what she represents in the WNBA. Thomas is not some journeyman role player. She is a 6-time All-Star, a 3-time first-team All-WNBA selection, an Olympic gold medalist, the undisputed triple-double queen of the entire league. She built that career through relentless physicality, driving hard into contact on nearly every single possession, absorbing punishment and dishing it back out. That is her brand. That is who she is on a basketball court. Her toughness is no accident, either. Thomas has spoken about how her parents instilled a fierce, competitive edge from childhood. Her mother was especially hard on her, never letting her take the easy road, never allowing excuses. It is the same philosophy used by coaches and parents of elite competitors across every sport. You do not build the WNBA's most physical player without a foundation built on hardness. But here is where the line gets complicated. There's a difference between physical basketball, hard screens, strong drives, contested plays, and a fist to the throat of a player who is already on the ground. One is part of the game. The other is something entirely different. The WNBA made clear within 24 hours which category it believed Thomas's action fell into. This was also the first suspension of Thomas's 13-year professional career. 13 years. Not a single game missed due to discipline until now. Less than 24 hours after the incident, the WNBA did something that frankly surprised a portion of the fan base that had grown exhausted by what they saw as institutional inaction. The league reviewed the play. It upgraded the contact to a flagrant foul 2 penalty, and it handed Alyssa Thomas a 1-game suspension, deemed a non-basketball act carried out by recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat area of Caitlin Clark. Thomas served her suspension on June 27 when the Mercury visited the Toronto Tempo. Indiana Fever president Kelly Krauskopf released a statement. Players' safety should be paramount in our league. We appreciate the WNBA's review of last night's incident and the action taken. Coach Stephanie White was grateful, but she was not fully satisfied. And honestly, she was right not to be. Because the issue is not just what happened after the fact. The issue is what did not happen in real time. White told reporters the day after, "I think the biggest thing for me is that we have to see it in real time. Yes, I'm thankful the league went back and used their ability to review it, but these are things we cannot miss live. We have to be better." That word, better, is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Because this is not an isolated incident. Last season, Marina Mabrey received a technical foul for a play against Clark that the league later upgraded to a flagrant 2. During Clark's rookie year in 2024, Chinny Carter had a shoulder check on Clark upgraded to a flagrant foul after the fact. The pattern is not subtle. Plays involving Clark are getting reviewed and upgraded repeatedly, which raises an uncomfortable question. Why do they keep getting missed in the first place? Before June 24th ever happened, Caitlin Clark was already having the best season of her professional career. Through 18 games, she was averaging 21.2 points per game, a career high. She was dishing out 8.2 assists per game. She had appeared in 17 of Indiana's 18 contests, a remarkable number given the injury problems that limited her to just 13 games in her second season. She had worked all offseason to get there. The sessions with Brandon Payne, the film study, the physical conditioning, the adjustments to her game. She came into 2026 determined to prove that her first season's brilliance was not a fluke and that her second season struggles were not the new normal. And she had done exactly that. Then came June 24th. Clark left the game in the third quarter. Back issues. She was already on the injury report for much of the season with the same problem. Back soreness that had been nagging her since May. Whether the incident with Thomas made it significantly worse is difficult to say definitively. What is certain is that she did not return to the game. Indiana lost 111 to 109. And 2 days later, Coach Stephanie White announced that Clark would not play against the Los Angeles Sparks on Saturday due to the injury. White added there was no indication of a return timeline. But she noted that Indiana's week off the following week provided an opportunity to get Clark treatment and rest. Long-term health, White said, was the most important thing. Meanwhile, the arena the night Clark was ruled out looked noticeably different. Quieter, less electric. The WNBA's most magnetic force. The reason millions of people have tuned into a league they had never watched before was sitting in street clothes. That is not just bad for Indiana. That is bad for everyone. Step back for a moment. Zoom out from a singular incident, the suspension, the social media outrage. Look at the larger picture that has been forming since Caitlin Clark walked into this league in 2024. Clark did not just join the WNBA. She transformed it. The television ratings, the arena attendance, the merchandise numbers, the sponsorship deals, every single metric that matters for a sports league's growth went in the right direction the moment she arrived. The league's television deal, valued at $2.2 billion, is directly connected to her presence. She is, by every measurable standard, the most valuable player the WNBA has ever had. And she's getting punched in the throat with no foul called. That is not sustainable. You cannot build a league's future on a player and then fail to protect that player from the kind of treatment that would result in immediate ejections and suspensions in any comparable professional sports league. The NBA protects its stars. The NFL protects its quarterbacks. These are not coincidental policy choices. They are business decisions based on the understanding that stars drive revenue, and revenue requires that stars be on the court. Clark herself spoke about this dynamic during her rookie year with a kind of resigned clarity that was both admirable and sad. She said she knew she was going to take a couple of hard shots every game, and that was just what it was. She said she was trying not to let it bother her. She should not have to try not to let it bother her. She should be protected. The one-game suspension for Thomas is a start. It is an acknowledgement that something wrong happened and that there are consequences. But one game for a fist to the throat of the league's biggest star, with no additional context about systemic officiating changes or future enforcement standards, is a thin line of accountability stretched over a very wide problem. If the WNBA wants Caitlin Clark to be the face of a billion-dollar enterprise, it has to treat her like one, not just in press releases, not just in retroactive suspensions. On the court, in real time, when the contact happens and the official is standing right there on the baseline. Because the alternative is not just bad basketball. The alternative is watching the most important player in the modern history of this league get hurt and wondering whether anyone truly had the chance to prevent it. Here is where we land. Alyssa Thomas put her fist into Caitlin Clark's throat. No foul was called. The WNBA reviewed the play and handed down a one-game suspension, the first of Thomas's 13-year career. Clark missed the Fever's next game with a back injury. Stephanie White said exactly what needed to be said. Steph Curry said enough is enough. And millions of fans, many of whom were watching this league for the first time, saw everything. One game. That was the price for a fist to the throat of the most watched player in the WNBA's history. Whether that is justice, a warning shot, or simply another chapter in a story that refuses to end, you get to decide. But one thing is absolutely certain. Every play involving Caitlin Clark from this moment forward will be watched under a microscope. Every borderline hit, every no call, every post-game press conference where a coach has to explain why their superstar left the floor hurt again. The WNBA has an opportunity right now. A real one. The world is watching. New fans arrive this season in numbers the league has never seen before. This is the moment to get it right. Not just for Clark, but for every player who deserves a game that is physical, competitive, and fair. What happens next is up to the league. But we will be here covering every single development. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think one game was enough for Alyssa Thomas? Should the WNBA have gone further? And do you believe Caitlin Clark will receive real protection moving forward? Or has this pattern gone on too long to change? We read every single comment, and your responses shape what we cover next. If you're not subscribed yet, do it right now. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a breakdown like this one. This season still has a long way to go, and the stories are only getting bigger. We will see you in the next one.